You see, one of the things you're doing all the time is you're demystifying the information. If the information stays as a mystery in the mind of the teacher, people don't get any time to, there's a word for it, I've just been writing about it. They don't get any, it's a sort of apprehension time, when they can reach in and get the feeling of things and suddenly start to get the thing. Usually there's no apprehension time given for confirmation time to arrive, you know, when suddenly you realise something. There's been no fill-in. Now, the National Curriculum Council put out a statement, and I just wonder if teachers have heard it or read it, and I don't know which of the many documents I saw it in. At the heart of the curriculum lies the dimension. I'm misquoting the next bit. I mean, I'm not getting it exactly right. If you want people to have information of many kinds, and the people you're teaching come from many cultures, and the people you're teaching have many different skills and qualities and memories and brains, you have to have dimension, because it is dimension that helps people put all the disparate bits of knowledge they get into their own worldview. Now, dimension is, I don't hear it discussed. Dimension isn't taught as long as you keep your subjects discreetly separated. This work is loaded with dimension. I'll give you an example of dimension in operation. I have to just look at it. Yes. In America, a group of 5-year-old children were helping me grow roses. So we have this great rose garden. I mean, it's the nicest rose garden anybody in the world has when you're only 4. So here we are, we've got our roses, and we spend an hour getting our roses sorted, and then we go to bed. And you know, when we wake up, Amy Earhart has bloody well landed a small plane in the middle of our rose garden. It is Amy. I'm mixing with Amy Johnson. It's
Johnson?
No, it's not Amy Johnson, it's the Earhart. It's America. Amelia. I knew it was nearly Amy. And Amelia Earhart is sitting there, not a bit bothered about our roses. She is bothered about an aeroplane. Now, the problem is getting it out of the garden. She would if she could, but she only has a map, and on it is simply marked Philadelphia. There isn't anything else on it. Because she knows where Philadelphia is, she just flew out of there. But she doesn't know where the rest of the world is. It's somewhere over there or here. And all we know is it is not here, because this is our rose garden. So you see, we're dealing with gasoline, or whatever they call it, gas. We're dealing with whether you put the same gas into cars as you, because I've only got a motor car. And I'm not giving any of my gas away to get her out, because I'm a mean, rose-growing lady. Now you see, I hear a child say to her, when you leave, we managed to get her some gasoline by going to a gasoline place, and we fill it up. We also explained to her why, when she sits at the front, she can make the tail work at the back. Because there's things go through. We've never seen them, but we know they must have. She's very thick. She flew without realising. I mean, she just never talked to her mother about anything. She didn't discuss anything. Sorry, Amelia. And a child says, You must never go above the blue. Oh, really, she says. Never go above. No, they say, you must never go above the blue. See, they know about NASA. If you go above the blue, you never get back. Never. I say, well, we better explain to her why. And they say, it's something to do with the shape of the plane and the shape of the world. We're not sure what. And they are dead right, isn't it? Never go above the blue. There'll be weather up there. There's weather up there. You want to be careful. Always be sure you can see the weather. It's so logical, isn't it? Now, I call that dimension. What do you call it? And what would you call it in curriculum terms? When we finished that particular 3 hours, 3 different days, they've shown her that you can have dials from round to half round to quarter round to triangular, oblong, rectangular, square, and flat or tall. Now, how many 4-year-olds in a math lesson would have done that? They've built her a complete cockpit with numbers, and they know that when you read from left to right, the numbers will have to go that way. But when you go around, they're not always the same distance apart. And you hear them saying, well, in our car, and so on. They've done that. We've calculated, because it was gallons still in America, we've calculated how big her petrol tank is in terms of how many gallons can we get in. Because her petrol tank is a paper tank pinned on the side of her sleeping bag. I know it sounds crazy, but it wasn't crazy to the children. Obviously you've got to sleep in an aircraft, so an aircraft can be the shape of a sleeping bag. I mean, they knew it wasn't really. They've helped her go to sleep by counting sheep. And we've reached about 115 before I'm registering. Somebody seems to be, you know, people are sort of counting quite large numbers. And that to me is what dimension is. And then suddenly, don't go above the blue. And Francisco is very dangerous. Some people may call it San Francisco, but we call it Francisco, because that's what we know. And Japan is terrible because it has Fujiyama. And you can't know what Fujiyama will do. And they have bullfights in Spain. It's not a good place to go to. New York is impossible because you get shot in banks. There's really not a lot of places to go to, but Philadelphia's all right. Because, well, we know that, you know, as long as you get back here, you'll be all right. It's interesting that when I used it with English children, Gosforth was safe. Now, you see, in this sort of work, people make errors like you do in your real life. But you can see the errors they make. When I was working with the children on Miss Earhart's map, the teacher was bothered because I wouldn't put anything on the map. I said, well, I can't put anything on the map because it's the children who must fill in our map. Otherwise, how will we know what they think the world is? Now, you see, they thought the world, I won't get up and draw it. This is a map for a lady in an aeroplane. And I bet all you have flown in aircraft, so you know it's a dead sensible map. You go up, and you come down, and it's Paris. Mind you, don't go to Paris, because it's terrible. They've got nightclubs in Paris, and they drink far too much wine. But if you do go to Paris, you go up, and you come down, and it'll be Paris, if that's where you want to be. That's exactly how it is when I fly. And then if you want to go to Japan, you see, you go up and you come down, and it'll be Tokyo. And it'll be in a straight line because that's how it is when you're in an aeroplane. Now, is that reasonable or not? Now, of course, the teacher keeps saying to me, but the world is round. Will you please give them a round globe, Dorothy? I'm very worried. And I'm saying, how many lessons have you taught on the globe to 4-year-olds yet? How many places have you heard they've heard about? And can we begin to consider why they think the world is so dangerous? Do you think that might be a bit significant? And more important, is the world round to you? I mean, it's round because somebody showed it me it was, and the more modern maps sort of indicate it much more clearly. But when I first went to Australia, I was disgusted because they hadn't put England in the middle. Australia was in the middle of the map. England was somewhere over there and it looked ever so little. And I mean, I was 40 nearly when I went to Australia. And I think they're all wrong. I mean, anyway, I started talking about dimensions. The thing is, where does she want to go next? Now, the essential thing to realise about teaching in role is that the teacher presents the problem through living inside a situation rather than talking about it. Thus, the problem has to be made concrete because, as in real-life situations, it unfolds in stages so that a class can perceive each result of their work through its effect on the role. You realise these are all countries we're telling you. You didn't know we knew all these countries, did you?
I have heard of these countries and I hope I shall visit several of them because what I'm going to do is fly all the way around the world.
You'll have no petrol
I don't believe it.
Well, I can stop and refuel, but I'm going to fly all the way around the world.
That means you might have a crash, you might hit a tree.
Miss Gosforth, Miss Johnson, do you never worry about crashing? I would, wouldn't you?
Yes.
You know, how many engines did she say it had? One engine. You're going all round the world on one.
All the way.
Engine. That would take a long time.
I think so. I'm just wondering how long it would take to go around the world on one engine.
10 minutes.
10 minutes?
No. It would take more than 100. It would take more than 50 years even.
You'll be a very old lady when you come back.
8 months.
But listen, how will she know when she's been right round?
Well, if she starts at, she flies to America and then start in America, go right round, and when she comes back to America, she'll be been right round the world.
She'll know she's been right round. So if she started at Leeds, she'll have to get back to Leeds.
Yes.
You realise that you'll have to come all the way round, and it might take, how long did you think?
About 100 minutes. Over
You
50
think 100
years.
minutes and he thinks 50 years. I don't know which it would be, really.
50 years.
50 years.
Maybe it would be over 100 years. 60 miles.
It's what? 68 miles. You realise it's a lot of miles round the world.
I know it's a long way and I know it's going to take a long time, but I'm going to do it.
Are you going to go now?
Well, the plane won't work.
It might take 100 years. We'll get some petrol. Oh, look, Miss Heathcote.
Well, that's just my wire. I don't let her have my bits of engine.
Miss Heathcote.
I don't know whether it's right to let a lady go all by herself, right round the world, all on her own, with one engine. I mean, what would her mother say?
No. No. I think no.
Did you ask your mum if you could go?
She knows I'm doing this.
Our role is Miss Amy Johnson, the ace flyer, and her problems can be seen in a very concrete way. Her little biplane has force landed in a rose garden, thus causing trouble to the lady of the house. Now this constitutes a nice, neat trap, whereby pressure from the owner can cause Miss Johnson to ask for help of the children.
Need anything else but water?
Yes.
Have you? What?
Someone's been standing on them.
It looks as if that needs an operation. Have you been standing on this rose?
No.
Can you?
There he is.